I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, August the 16th, brought to you in part by Western Video Market, where they had the first of their two-day sale in Cheyenne, Wyoming on Monday. Sold mostly all weaned calves and yearlings and lambs. And then here on Tuesday, they're going to start at 9 o'clock Central Time, and they've got droves and droves of fancy calves. And if you look, almost all of them are from Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska, and Montana. So if you guys are not paying attention to Western Video because you think it's all Idaho, Oregon, and California, which they have their full share of those, not this sale. It's going to have a lot of these cattle here out of the plains. And you need to be sure and get on there and check those because, guys, this market is going to get higher. You want to get in and get some of these calves purchased and reserved for delivery as quick as you can. Talking about the sale that they had on Monday, they had a lot of nice yearlings on there. Not as many program yearlings as they had on the Reno sale, but still a lot of nice yearlings, and a lot of them towards that central part of the United States there. Talk about a few of them. How about the Grubbing Hoe Ranch? And that's in Redig, South Dakota. Had 165 steers. Just cattle. I mean, they were sure ranch raised and good, but they had no bells and whistles on them. 1,000-pound steers for October delivery. 1,000-pound steers, $182. How about the Benjamin Ranch? My good friend Glenn Benjamin there out of Simla, Colorado, which is it's just kind of between La Junta and Grand Junction, Colorado, there on the eastern side. If you remember, I was visiting there a couple of months ago when I was out in that country and stopped and took a tour of their ranch there. And I tell you what, it didn't look near as good now then as it does now. They've had a lot of rain there. They haven't got it north of there so much, but they've got a lot of rain right in there. But Benjamin Ranch and Glenn, he represented them, but I think these particular cattle actually belonged to his brother. But 120 head of boughten steers. Now, they were nice and mostly all black, but I mean boughten steers out of eastern Colorado, locally purchased there. 900-pound steers, no extra bells and whistles, early September delivery, $1.80 a pound. Pretty good deal. Now, Shane Enterprises from Dixon, California, they had some with all the bells and whistles. SAV, NHTC, Verified Natural, GAP 4, everything. I mean, it could even be organic if you wanted to. I mean, they had all the bells and whistles, all the paperwork in order. And like I said, Dixon, California there. 70 head of these ranch-raised steers, 770 pounds at $2.11 a pound. So big time markets out there in Cheyenne for the Western Video Market sale. Don't forget to tune in to the calf sale on Tuesday here, starting at 9 o'clock Central Time on WBMCattle.com, or you can find them on DVAuction.com also. But here come the calves. And just all of a sudden this week, I mean, we started out here on Monday with a lot of calves. And from now forward through the fall, every single day you're going to see calves making up a larger percentage of the run. We're about out of yearlings, and you guys that have only been watching me for a couple of months or so, you're thinking, God, is he going to talk about anything but grass yearlings? Yes, we're going to start talking about calves because they're just now starting to hit. They are hitting about a month earlier than normal. You know, we noticed that Oklahoma City really stuck out. They're over 600 pounders within their 6,500 head run. Normally it's 70 or 80% over 600 pounds, but on Monday it was only 45% over 600 pounds. And good market reporting there said most of the heavier ones were weighing from 600 to 700 pounds. Just not many yearlings there, but a lot of calves, a lot of them coming earlier than normal, and as you would expect, very few of them weaned. So you know what that's like. You can't hear yourself think. If you're needing to use your cell phone, you don't step out on the catwalk to hear better. You step back in the auction ring. You can fade the auctioneer's mic a lot easier than you can fade all that bawling from them calves outside. But you're gonna have to pick through them calves, and you know, your videos can get away with that. And that's something that's always kind of intrigued me since the videos got big, you know, in the last 25 years or more, is they sell those calves bawling. You know, and in fact, if you buy those calves and you want to show up delivery, you can be there to view the weaning process, because most all of those come in with their mothers and then they sort them from the cows right there before they put them on the trucks. But the hell of it is, with today's viruses, today's virus cures and medicines out there, and the way that we handle cattle, they would a whole lot rather get those fresh weaned cattle than they would the short weaned. If you're only going to wean those cattle 2 weeks or 10 days, don't do it, please. And if you do it, don't tell people that you did it, because I mean, that is just hot time for those cattle to get a big temperature and fade. You know, those cattle's adrenaline's up whenever they get weaned, if they're weaned at shipping, like a lot of those video cattle are, and they can kind of stave off some stuff for a while. But if you wean those calves, get them excited, and then about 10 days, and then put another big stress on them of changing locations, that's when they get the absolute sickest. But you know, if you're going to do it right, you need to wean those calves for 45 days, give them all their shots, and make sure that everybody knows that when you do it right. But a lot of calves going to be coming, guys. It's dry in a lot of places. Some places have gotten some rain here in the last week or two, but they've eat that grass down so much they need to save that for their cows. They hate to cull any deeper, because we've culled as deep as we've culled since the 1980s, guys. And I tell you what, we're going to be really short of cattle numbers, beef cattle numbers, coming up here over the next 2 years for sure, and probably 3. So you know, it's a big deal to try to get those calves away from those mothers, let them recoup for a little bit, but you know, before they start thinking about having a calf again. And then hopefully they can get a little bit of rest and a little bit of grazing there before they have to start looking at that again. But I'm going to be traveling here later this week, the last half of the week. I'm going out to the southeast to Mississippi for a series of feeder flash gang rallies. So if you guys are in the Mississippi area and you would like to come to one of these and listen to me give one of my presentations, I'm going to be traveling with Zoetis rep, a good friend of mine, Sam Blakeney. And so I'm flying into Jackson. I'll give you a quick rundown of my schedule here. Wednesday afternoon, going to be at Gulf Regional Livestock in Loosedale, Mississippi. So if you guys come there, those guys that own that market are friends of mine. I'm looking forward to going there. Actually a DV auction customer. Thursday morning, I'm going to be taking a tour of Cutting Edge Meat Company in Leakesville, Mississippi. And then Thursday at noon, going to be at Southeast Mississippi Livestock in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Hoping for a good crowd there, and those are open to the public. The talk in Hattiesburg and the one in Loosedale are both open to the public. They'd be glad to have you. Then Thursday night, going to be at a private event for Zoetis reps, and that's going to be in Collins, Mississippi. Then some of them guys are going to take me down to Gulf Shores, Alabama, and ain't no telling what could happen next weekend as I get after my big birthday here this week. But let's talk about your board on Monday to open the week. August live cattle futures down 47 cents at 139.75. October down 70 at 143.80. Just kind of a breather day there, not anything terrible. Your back months down 25 cents to down $1.07. Your big gains last week kind of had that thing overbought just a little as far as your technical indicators go, but I think when they start trying to haggle on cattle this week, I think we're going to see your board come up again because the guys are in the driver's seat, those that have cattle market ready. August feeder cattle up 30 cents, and that was mostly because corn was down quite a bit, but at 179.92. September down 37 cents at 183. Your back months on feeder cattle down 40 cents to down 87. Your corn Chicago Board of Trade was down 14 cents at 6.2825 a bushel after a fairly bullish yield estimate late last week on the USDA report of expecting 175.4 bushels to the acre. But we did see some scattered showers across the western corn belt on Sunday evening, and they're expecting some more this week. So we were still in a weather market here, and until we get past that, that's pretty much all you can look at. Beans down 42 cents on Monday to open the week, ending regular trading session at 14.1225 a bushel. And that was a bearish to the bean market yield expectation for them late last week on the USDA report, as they estimated that we'd have a record tying yield at 51.9 bushels to the acre if we indeed see that. But you know, it's not that bad up there. I know a lot of you guys are in some really drouthy places, but I tell you what, it's not terrible everywhere, and the eastern corn belt is fantastic. Let's talk about your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade out of your 5-area feeding region. Another robust trade for the times that we're in, and another higher market. Once again, higher market, more negotiated trade. More negotiated trade, higher market. Funny how that always seems to happen. But those that are against Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act, they say that that's not true, but it just seems to happen almost every time. But 86,300 head, that's bigger than the 84,700 we had last week in your 5-area, and a whole lot bigger than the 63,100 we had a year ago this week. But live sales of steers and heifers in your 5-area feeding region ranged from 136 to 149. It really wasn't that wide. There was only 200 head at 136 and nothing till you got to 138. So mostly it was 138 to 149. There was 965 head at 149. So, but you know, it was still 1 to 250 higher on your price range. Your weighted average on live steers in your 5-area feeding region, 144.39. USDA got it fixed from what they had on their Thursday wrap up there, but 144.39, $3.55 higher than the previous week's weighted average. Talk about your dress sales of steers and heifers in the 5-area feeding region, 227 to 236. There was only one load at 227, and then it went to 228. There was 320 at 236, but there was several at 235 and a half and a lot at 235. But your weighted average on dress steers in your 5-area feeding region, 229.93, up $2.10 from your weighted average previous week. Nationwide, we hit 100,000 pure negotiated sales again this week, which is what I believe to be healthy market. If we could maintain that, I think we could keep healthy market there. But of the 100,000 nationwide negotiated sales, 35,300, or about 35% of them, were for the 15 to 30 day delivery. But 100,000 pure negotiated cash, 48,600 negotiated grid, 30,100 forward contracts, and 282,800 head of sweetheart formula deals. And we wonder what's wrong with this industry. Let's talk about, actually on Monday we saw some confirmed sales in Iowa, about 700 head sold at 146. So this thing is looking pretty good already to start this week. Box beef cutout values were a bit higher to start the week on Monday. Choice cuts $264.46, up $1.09. Selects up 13 cents at $239.72. Talking about what else is going on. Beaver County Stockyards, Beaver, Oklahoma, which is the eastern end of no man's land right there in the Oklahoma Panhandle. They're expecting 2,000 head for their Tuesday feeder cattle auction and all classes here that starts. I think they usually start about 9 o'clock, and they have a good run. They're going to have several yearlings. Be a good sale on Monday. I talked to Jeff Slatton, and said they had a gathering there at the sale barn on Monday, and their Oklahoma Senator Langford was in town, and was really saying that he was behind everything agriculture, had good things to say about all the things that we're looking for. And it was interesting that he came to the Oklahoma Panhandle, which a lot of your representatives in Oklahoma forget that it's over there, to give a talk to local producers, and I was glad to see that. But check out Beaver County Stockyards on dvauction.com. How about your real-time index to start the feeder cattle market report? Now, based on the 800-pound steer up through your middle 12 states, 178.56 late in the day on Monday, up another 56 cents compared to the end of last week. Talk about your big high volume Monday sales. Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City, 6,500 head, 4 to 8 higher on all classes, spots as much as 15 higher on the fancier calves, and the run was mostly calves, like I told you to start out the report there, and over 600 pounds was only 45% of the run. And like I said, the reporters there said that most of those that were over 6 weighed from 6 to 7. So not a lot of big heavy yearlings there. We've just finally cleaned them up, guys. They had to come off the grass and they had to sell them after that. So we're not going to see a whole lot more of them. Talk about Joplin Regional Stockyards. They had 4,300 head. Lighter run for them also. And mostly calves, steady to $5 higher. They're over 600 pounders, made up 57% of the run, but a pretty snappy sale there at Joplin Regional Stockyards. Your Zoetta stick-out sale of the day come from Tri-State Livestock in McCook, Nebraska. They had 3,300 head there, mostly all fancy calves pulled straight from the cows, and some of them pee-wees. You just don't see them. And they had a hell of a price or a market on your lightweight calves. They had a hell of a market on your big yearlings, and like I said, it was your Zoetta stick-out sale of the day. Over 600 pounds in McCook on Monday, only added up to 22% of the run. But give you some quotes out of there. How about 49 head of light steers, weight 411, bring 270, and then they had 4 loads of 822-pound yearling steers, bring 190. They had all the bases covered there in McCook, Nebraska on Monday. Talk about your little market with the big prices. Sylvan Sales Commission in Sylvan Grove, Kansas. My buddy there, Toby, he had 66 head, 833-pound steers at 185.35 in Sylvan Grove, Kansas. Big time quote there. But the best quote, or most impressive quote that I saw on Monday, your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day, come out of Sioux Falls Regional Livestock, Worthing, South Dakota, DV Auction customer. You can watch all of their sales on dvauction.com. They had 522 head in one swath, weighed 1123, bring 164.75. That's your feeder flash for Tuesday.